Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
And we're here talking about Nioh. We kind of wanted to give our first impressions of the Nioh Last Chance demo.
Right.
Last Chance Beta, or Beta as few are in the European area.
No, we don't talk about that. It's a beta.
I also want to give some tips as well as we talk about this, so I'll try to pop those up if I can. But I absolutely love the game for what it's worth. For what it is.
Absolutely.
For what it's doing. It's going to get a lot of comparisons to Dark Souls, but there are enough differences in this game that I would say it's not a Grand Theft Auto to Saints Row comparison. It's very different. It did its own thing in regards to environment, in regards to play style, and in regards to the Souls aspect of it's difficult and go get your stuff.
Right. Soulsborne has become a category in and of itself.
Yeah.
It is the newest genre to make its way into video games.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that they put the combat into there, but they actually made combat more complex than the Souls series because you have different options as far as your stance when you're going into combat. You have, as far as melee goes, you have high, medium, and low stance.
Yes.
High stance is the most damage, medium stance is kind of in the middle, low stance is about evasion and dodging and blocking and particular ways to do that. I really appreciate that because I like the idea of being able to build a single equipment set.
Yes.
But I can go into these battles and be like, all right, you're a big nasty. Until I figure you out, I'm going to go into low, and I'm going to stay there until I figure out your moveset. Then I'll go to medium, and then later on, if I come back to you, I'll probably go high because I know what you're going to do.
But even then, I would say there are some enemies that going in with a low stance versus a high stance, it's actually better. And because of the way that they strike, if you have an enemy that's really low to the ground, I've experienced it quite a few times where if you have the medium set and you're not doing the right attack, you're not getting down in there. So it encourages that. You also get 2 melee weapons and 2 ranged weapons that you can toggle between at will.
Yeah.
So I really encourage not only you explore the toggling between the stances, but toggling between your weapons because you can do that at will
on the fly within a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I wish I wish there was a Bloodborne style quick ranged way to go in because if you're in the midst of a battle, you kind of have to back up quite a ways, hold down the L2 button, aim.
It takes a second to get into the aiming mechanic.
Yes.
Which I'm going to disagree with you because that makes sense from a logistical standpoint. To put away your weapon, to pull out a gun and aim it, or to pull out a bow and aim it, that makes sense. Yeah. And that's the thing about this. The lore is wonderful. There's these little things that you rescue. They're seriously like this tall.
I can't remember the names. Yeah, the little green men. Green guys. Yeah.
And so as you rescue those, then they go back to your base or your checkpoint. And they upgrade your various systems. There's a lot of options as far as combat goes here. As far as Dark Souls goes, you have basically 3 builds. You have the walking tank.
Yep.
You have the nimble melee, and then you have sorcery.
Yeah.
This one allows you to switch rapidly back and forth in between them.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that versatility and the ability to do that. The combat is solid. The level design, which is another thing that we talk about frequently when we're talking about Dark Souls games, is we'll talk about the impeccability of that level design.
Yes.
Nioh is not at that level.
I put it on the level of Dark Souls 2. Personally. It is not. So it is not Miyazaki level design.
But it's somewhere between the linear and the oh my gosh they just did that with a level.
There are, for example, in the beta, there are right from the start there are 3 paths you could go on that then branch out into more paths, and some of them intersect back in with each other.
And
I'm still trying to figure it out. I put in 3 hours of the game, and I'm still trying to find there's an item on top of a building, and I'm trying to figure out how to get to it.
I can tell you how to get there.
Cool, so we're going to do that. So we'll start with that for the tip. How do you get there?
Okay, so whenever you fought, the big guy that comes out of the miasma?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go there, and then you trek off to the left.
Okay.
Okay, so like as you're coming down the hill, okay, you remember the archer up at the top? You need to go take him out before you continue on your path?
Yes.
Okay, so you take out the archer, you come down, keep facing to the right, and after the end of the fence, you can jump down to the level, and then you can be right where the roof is.
There you go. I'll try to do that later.
That will make no sense if you haven't played the game. But if you've played the game, that's how you get that.
I love the when it comes to the Souls aspect, the surprise of I've opening up a trunk that may not be a trunk. Spoilers, which I've played through. I'm on my second playthrough now, and what was a trap on one was not a trap on my other playthrough. So I don't know how.
Really?
Yeah. Because I got it friggin' recorded because my first playthrough.
That's awesome.
There's a mimic. There's a mimic that pops up right after with the two guys that's there. If you run past them, you go up the little building. There's a mimic, and then a guy comes out. My second playthrough, I was prepared for it. I was ready for it. I opened it up, and I got items. And I went, wait a minute.
Okay, see that's really fun because in the Dark Souls series, one of the emphasis in gameplay is on memorization. Like you learn the route, you learn where things are and how to evade them and what paths you can take to get past them. So if they introduce an element of randomness to that adds a great deal of replayability and increased watchability for those of us because
you would have expected that mimic and it didn't pop up.
Exactly. There are players who will go through Dark Souls repeatedly and new game plus. And if it can be a little bit different each time, if there is an element of mystery on your fourth playtime, that is wonderful.
It's really cool. I will say that during my first playthrough, it was a mimic every time because I died a couple times to him.
Okay.
On my second playthrough, it was not a mimic, so I don't know exactly how that mechanic works. I'm just giving you my my experience on it. Another tip I'd give you: we talked about the range battles. So when you're going against someone ranged, the arrows obviously do a lot less damage than hand cannons and everything. Hand cannons are great, but I will give you a
musket.
tip. Yeah, muskets are great.
Although I did get a bit nervous because when you pull out the musket, there's like a fuse sound that kicks off. So like you pull up the musket and it goes, and I'm like, it's gonna blow up in my hands, but it doesn't.
Yeah, deceptive. I will say though that the arrows, while they don't do a lot of damage, if you can get a hit on an unprotected head, meaning he does not have a helmet on, you can get a surprise hit on that. It's been an instant kill for me every single time. There are multiple times you'll see two guys, your enemies that are talking to each other. One of them has more armor than the other. Maybe the other's more of an archer. Yeah. Take out the archer with an arrow to the head first, and then you only have to deal with one guy.
Yeah.
It's I've even seen you can knock off the helmet of someone and then get a headshot on there. So the headshots that don't kill sometimes will stun, so you can headshot, run in, and stab. There's a lot of cool strategy to the game, and I'm really enjoying it.
There's also one of the things that your enemies have, and this is something that I've not seen in any previous games, is they have a life bar and then they have a ki bar, which is basically their stamina. And if you can get that to the bottom, you have a lot of options, additional options, combat-wise, that you can work on them. You can do a grapple. You can knock them down to the ground and stab them while they're on the ground. There are a lot of environmental and animation-based combat perks that you can kind of pull out of, and I really appreciate their attention to detail and their dedication to make sure that you have more options.
Yes.
Love options.
Really love it. One other thing that I'll mention on there is the offering system. It's a kind of a cool way you can make offering and get your. I keep referring to them as souls because I forget the name of them, but you get currency out of that. I didn't see what that was. There's a secondary currency, little blue stuff that drops though, because you have the regular souls, if you will, that go into.
But then there's salt. I don't think that's in the demo. Yeah, I didn't see a way to spend that.
I didn't see.
But that'll probably be in the main game. I don't know about you, but this game comes out on February 6th. We've both had a lot of fun with the demo, and if you finish the demo, then there will be a bonus when you go into the main game. I forget what that is, but there will be something cool for those of us who choose to do both. The game comes out February 6th on PlayStation 4. We will be playing it. We will be streaming it. please come join us and let us know what you think about this really, really fun game that's Souls-ish.
Yeah. Take care, guys.